Oh,
The old head made it in. You're right about the technology, bro.
they always make it in, but it just takes a little time. That's okay.
Sometimes it's hard to get in there, man, when you don't know what you're doing.
No, you just gotta be patient. That's all.
No question about it.
The same thing when you got young guys. It's the same thing you got kids. It's the same thing you got whatever you got. You gotta be patient.
Yep, no doubt.
What's going on, brother? How are you?
I'm doing well, man. We had maybe our best practice of the year so far, so I'm feeling good right now.
How many practices in?
Ooh, my practice 35, number 35.
35. So you guys are coming along, and you put together something pretty quick as far as bringing some guys in.
Yeah, I mean, it was late, but I think we put it together pretty good team. Pretty
Mm.
good team. You know, not a bunch of five-star guys, but a good team.
Guys who are you're gonna be able to teach how to play the game correctly and do the things that are gonna enable you guys to win and them to have opportunity to play college basketball.
Absolutely, and to reestablish the culture we had here. Culture is bigger than anything. As you know, when it
Mm-hmm.
comes to sports. So we have a good group that's reestablished the culture, and I don't think it'll take long.
I it seems that you have from the outside looking in and me knowing who you are to a certain extent and the relationship that we've been able to form over the last 3 years,
Mm.
you almost have like a sense of like a new start, a rejuvenation. Obviously, you're going back home and you've been there before, but I can see from your words and some of the things that you're posting that you just have a great sense of energy right now.
Absolutely. Sometimes it's you get around younger guys, and their eyes are still wide open. And you have the right guys with you, and they're like sponges, and they want to learn, and they're letting you coach them. They're not fighting you on what you're trying to teach them, both on and off the court. It makes it easy to come to work every day. It makes it easy to stay up all night watching film and trying to figure out what's the best way to make this group of guys better. So it's a testament to the guys who are here.
Yeah, I almost have in a bit of a different realm, obviously, because I'm not in the prep circuit, but stepping away from Yale to start my own player development and get back on the front line. It's a very similar feeling, especially working with the younger kids who now have a greater sense of respect of um, my experiences and where I've been. So now when I speak, and not that they didn't before, but there's just a greater sense of um, want to listen to and want to get better. And obviously that's a no, not non-negotiable, but it's kind of like a very similar feeling.
Absolutely. And then when they see, they're here every day and they see those names on the wall of guys who came before them. And, I always tell the kids I liken it to, what is your favorite dessert? And if it's a cookie, I say, well, who makes that cookie? And invariably they tell you who it is, Miss Fields, whoever it is. And I said, do you think they know the ingredients to make that cookie better than anyone else makes their cookie? And they say, yes. Okay, well, here, I think I know the ingredients pretty well to get you along to where you could be able to go if you buy in. And when you have guys who understand that and respect where you've been and understand who came before them, where they are, it makes it a lot easier. Then also having, one of my former players, Gilbert Brown, as my top assistant coach. And he's the only player I've ever coached for 5 years. And when he's talking to them, they're like hanging on every word because it's not maybe this. He went through it, and so they understand my craziness sometimes
Mm-hmm.
by listening to him.
Yeah, and we can continue to speak about that. I was actually going to bring Coach Brown up, and I was thinking about how much of a um, almost like a prized possession he is to be able to come back to somewhere where he went to school um, after he's played at certain levels and been in different types of games around different players and practices and understanding everything that comes with it. But what I was going to ask you about to speak on is the importance of relationships. Um, and I guess this question would be for the younger coaches who are trying to get in, who really need to know that you can work hard and you can do certain things to position yourself, but without strong, genuine relationships, it's going to be hard to really get to whatever the pinnacle is that you think that you can get to. So if you can speak on the importance of relationships, that'd be great.
Absolutely. It's all about relationships, and you hit on it with genuine, authentic relationships, as you're trying to move up, as guys are trying to move up in the business, sometimes, the relationship, most of the guys who are quote unquote in the business and above you at the moment, they understand why you're trying to develop a relationship with them. A lot of it has to do with you wanting to move forward. But at the same time, I always tell guys, when you meet someone, don't ask anything from them for about a year. Get to know them. Ask them, how can I help you? And then the people start to understand, they're more willing to take their time with you and help. Like when you and I met, right? You were a Division III assistant coach, and you came and sat next to me at that game, and we just started talking hoop. And then you started naming guys that hey, coach, have you seen this kid? Have you seen that kid? You didn't come up to me and say, coach, I'm at Division III. How do I get the way you go? I can do this. How you gonna do that? Like, it was none of that. It was like we talked basketball. We developed a friendship. You told me about guys, and over time, I noticed that, man, this guy right here, he's a real deal. And those are the type of relationships that people remember. And when you have relationships and you're about the kids and doing what's right for the kids in this business, so many people get in the business and want to do it. See, when I got in the business, there wasn't a lot of money in coaching, right? And now a lot of young guys see, man, if I can make it to that level, this is what my paycheck's gonna look like, right? Whereas if I can make it to that level,
That's
I
what I
can,
that's what I
yeah,
was very consumed in
yeah,
at the
yeah,
beginning. That's what I was thinking about, among other things. You're still very genuine and have great incentive to want to be around the game and influence players. But one of my flaws as a young man was thinking about the level of income that I could get if I get to wherever I get. And then
right.
the experience came. It's probably not all about that. You really want to do some other things, and that's kind of where.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with trying to move up and do better for yourself, right? But I've always said, like, I ask people, would you coach if you only got paid $1, but your expenses were taken care of, your house note was taken care of, your car was taken care of, all that stuff was taken care of, would you still coach? And if your answer is truly, authentically, yeah, it doesn't matter what level you coach at, right? And then I have one of the best examples, my college coach at Lafayette, Fran O'Hanlon, he's still there after 25 years. And he got so many big time job offers while he's been there. And his whole mindset's like, you know what? I can do a great job where I am. It's a great level. I get to work with smart players, help them get better. And over time, he's probably made way more money than some of these guys who jump at things and making a lot of money right away because you don't last very long if you don't get the job done. So it's about the fit. I think it's about the fit and what are you trying to do to help others get better. And then things that happen, whether it's a lot of money for you, a lot of fame for you or not, you're in the business for the right thing.
Mm-hmm. One thing that I would tell young guys, or that I do tell young guys, and I'm still a young guy, I just turned 34 years old. But when I started to go to Final Fours and I started being gyms around certain coaches, I felt like there was too many times where I let opportunity pass to not say something to a coach. And as I matured and as I gained confidence, I stopped letting that happen. So I know that there's young, quote unquote, young guys who are in gyms and who are putting themselves in positions to brush shoulders with certain coaches, to not let those opportunities pass without at least saying hello. I always thought, I don't, what do I have to say to coach? When Jay Wright walks in the room, what do I have to say to coach? Does he really want to hear about, does he really want my hello? Well, just, you never know how they feel.
Right.
Same when I introduced myself to you, coach. It was like, I didn't want to let opportunities pass, because now 3 years later, I can have you on my podcast and tell you how much I appreciate you for taking your time out. And I mean, really in some important parts of my career moving forward, I've reached out to you because of just understanding the person that you are and what you come with and the respect that you garner, for me at least.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
And I tell you what guys too, and maybe to help guys when they want to say, well, how do I go about meeting this coach? How do I go about talking to this coach? Master your craft. Master your craft. Learn basketball. Everyone can talk recruiting, but when coaches, you have conversations with coaches and they find out, they get beyond that veil of, man, how can this guy help me recruit? And really realize that you understand basketball and that you love basketball. Master your craft, because that opens the door to totally different conversations with coaches, Like you said, like a Jay Wright, you go up to him, well, Jay Wright, tell me about the bully series you do to work with your guys playing off of 2 feet. I've watched all your stuff. How does that work? How does that work in practice? How does that translate to the game? And then now you've opened up the door for maybe a great basketball conversation with him. And the next time that guy sees you, he may not remember your name, but aren't you the guy I saw at the gym when we were talking about the bully series? It's that type of stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and to close on this, I found, or I didn't find this, but this was back in, I keep a journal on all my telephone numbers, who I'm calling, who I need to call, what's happening, just updates. And so I have a memory of it. And after we met, and that was 2017, December 10th, 2017, Coach Chill gave me some words that helped me gather my thoughts and get my mind right. I have a long way to go, but I'm willing to put the work in. Need to start doing the work though. But that was, it's a meaningful memory for me that a lot of guys can have if they just speak.
I think I remember. I think we met in Newburgh Free Academy. Or Newburgh, one of those places over there, no?
We met at Babson.
At Babson, at the Scholar Round Ball Invitational. Mm-hmm. Yep, that's what it was.
You had just got to UConn.
Yeah. It was great. I mean, I walked away from that thing, and I don't remember if I saw any good players, but I knew I walked away and met a good coach and somebody I consider later on we became good friends.
Appreciate you. Coach, talk to me about how your recruiting prowess and how you go about gauging players that you like, talent level, what you're looking for from characteristic wise, and how it's grown from when you were a young guy and you were just, you're a basketball enthusiast, so I understand the game, to now, like, I'm a real professional and I've seen everything. So now what am I?
Well, I'll tell you, and it's a product of, I think, where I'm from. I'm from the DMV. And one of the big characteristics of guys from DMV is, the first thing is toughness. Mm-hmm. That they don't back down. They don't have to be bravado, but they have a certain toughness about them that, whatever happens to them, they're like a buoy in the ocean. They might get hit, but they bend, but they don't fall over, man. And then they're always kind of in attack mode. And then the other thing I look at, outside of the things that jump off the page, just what raw talent looks like, I look at different metrics. For me, I like guys who have long arms and big hands for their size. People always talk about how small Isaiah Thomas is, but Isaiah has the arm length and hands of someone 6'4", 6'5". He has long arms. You watch him; he has really long arms for a smaller guy. I look at guys, and he's unbelievably tough. But when he came here, we had to pull that out of him some. He was very talented, and he was around some really tough guys when he played here, and so it got pulled out of him. And then once he realized how tough he really was, then he just took it to a whole different level where he was always the toughest guy. So I look for that, and I look to watch and see if guys know how to play. A lot of people have heard the story with Markelle Fultz when I saw him. He was playing JV basketball. But what I was watching is not what he was getting done. It was how he thought. He was all over the court playing every position, but you could see how he was thinking the game. He was like 3 or 4 thoughts ahead of everyone else on the court. So I try to watch and see how guys think. Then before I sign off in my brain, a guy that when I was an assistant coach, I want to bring back to our head coach, or now for myself, is what kind of teammate is he? How is he playing? How does he behave with his teammates and coaches when things aren't going well for him? Does he turn inward, and let that empathy become sympathy for himself? Or does he go get hard like an egg, that's boiled egg like John Gordon talks about, right? In the coffee bean? Or is he one of the guys, man, he's just going to be steady Eddie, still clapping for his teammates? When he comes out of the game, does he go to the end of the bench? Or does he try to sit at the top of the bench? Does he talk to people? Does he help people get to where they're supposed to be on the floor And I can't stand when guys do this deal. When someone makes a mistake, showing their teammates up. You know, I want guys to say, "Hey, man, I know you didn't catch that, but I'm gonna still throw it to you." And that was one thing that Markel Fultz was great at. And if you looked during the draft process, people made a knock that he would give the ball to guys that maybe they couldn't finish or whatever, but they were open. You know, a good player is going to give it to an open player if he's trying to get a layup. Now, at some point, you got to realize if the guy has his hand screwed on backwards, you can't keep throwing it to him. But you look at the guys who are going to make other people around them feel 2 inches taller. You know, that's one of my hashtags. Make someone feel 2 inches taller, and that's what I want to surround myself with. Guys who make other people feel 2 inches taller.
Has there been times in your recruiting processes during years where you've made exceptions for someone with poor body language and maybe not the best character because of all the other characteristics, physical characteristics that they've had?
I think for the most part, like when I was here the first time, definitely as high school kids, when they come, you really don't know. And I had some guys with character flaws, you know. But the vast majority with the real character flaws, they didn't make it, you know. The ones who had some issues, and that's our job. We're to mentor, we're to teach people. Sometimes kids, most times kids do what they see and they do what they've been allowed to do. It's our job to help them to correct the behaviors. Kids' jobs is to make mistakes. It's our jobs to help them fix the mistakes and show them how to do it. And so there's some guys on the outside, people say, man, that guy, I don't know about him. But then he gets with the right person who's going to spend time with them outside of the court, trying to peel back the layers of the onion, see what is it? Because the behavior is just a manifestation of something else that's going on, always, whether it's a kid or an adult. And so when you spend time and you get to know them and get close to them, then you can find out, man, this kid, he has some things, but you can help redeem him because he wants it. And the other ones who don't want it, something's going to happen anyway, and they're not going to make it.
So speaking to the same point, but moving off the court, what are some of the characteristics? And I guess we're speaking about basketball, but we are also speaking about young people in general in whatever the realm is that their career path is or they're passionate about. What are some of the characteristics that you've seen consistently with the successful basketball players that you know that stand out from just their off the court presence?
I think one of the things is, it sounds crazy, but curiosity. You know, the guys who I've been around and coached, been off the court with, have been very successful. They have a level of curiosity about the game. They're curious about life. They'll ask you questions about you. You know, if you spend some time, think about the kids you've been around this week. How many have asked about you? What's going on in your life? How do you do that? How does this work? You know, I think the ones who are curious and willing learners, and they have even ones with tough exteriors who have a great humility about themselves that know they don't know it all. And those have been the ones, some guys stand out. Darrell Wright, when he was here, I mean, he was unbelievable, an unbelievable talent. But you would see Darrell Wright with the most unknown kid on campus. If the kid comes up to him and talk to him, he'll sit down and hang out with him and talk with him forever. He's the same way now as a retired NBA world champion. He still spends time with others that you like, okay, not everyone is like that. You know, there's people like that who have a certain humility, who understand who they are as a human being and have a certain comfort level within themselves that they can be curious and ask questions about what they don't know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that. Moving back to on court, and there's a level of understanding and conception that needs to be that kids need to be aware of to compete at South Kent or to compete at the Division III, Division II, Division I, that kids don't have, but they have a lot of the skill and they have the athleticism. And what I've seen as of late, especially just being able to get back in gyms and being around some talented kids, is that sometimes it's hard to hold the best players accountable because they're the best players. So whether they're doing the right thing or the wrong thing, they still have the opportunity to stay on the court because they're the best players. So from your experience with a lot of talented kids, how have you been able to hone those kids in and really, really just make sure that they're understanding and playing the game the right way, and not letting them get away with those things.
Well, the thing with me is you have to be relentless about your non-negotiables. And that goes from the best player to the kid who's not as good as the best player, and never be afraid. And I'll tell all the coaches, young coaches, especially when I talk to them, never be afraid to have your best player walk out the gym and say, this is too hard for me. I can't, I don't want to do it, because the message is not for him. It's for all of us. It's for everyone. And I'm surprised the guys didn't realize it the first time I was here, but every year, whoever the best player was, quote unquote, talent was, I kicked him out of the first practice just to send a message to the rest of the guys to say, if I'm going to kick Darrell Wright out, he got kicked out of his first practice, didn't do anything wrong. It was all by design. Andre Blatch kicked out of the first practice here because I wanted the other guys to say, okay, if he's going to drill the top guy like that, what is he going to do to me if I don't do it, And then and then after you set that example, you hold that guy relentlessly accountable and never let the other guy see you back off him. Because then they'll understand the other guy's going to fall in line, and not backing off doesn't mean screaming and yelling, but if they have to make the sprint in a certain time, don't act like you didn't see they didn't make it. No, we're running again because this guy didn't make it. And you let the rest of the guys know. So to me, you just have to be relentless about your non-negotiables and be willing to lose a good player, if they can't take it. One of the things here, one of my former players asked me, he's on the board of trustees now here. And he said, what are you going to do different this time that you didn't do the first time? I said, well, the first time we had all the best players. Us, Brewster, Laurinburg, all those schools, Notre Dame, we had all the best players on our team. But all the best players don't always make the best team. Now my whole focus is, how do I put together the best team? If the best team, I remember the best team I ever had here, we had all those 5 stars, NBA guys, and our starting point guard was a Division III point guard, because he understood that when you go to the buffet, the point guard eats last. He fed everybody. And then he made sure he go over and pat the best player on the back when he's down. He knew how to run the ship. And so to me, that'll always stick in my head that, all the best players don't always make the best team, because when you're trying to teach defensive rotations and front the cutter, tag a cutter, and your best player won't do it, you got a problem with your team when the other guys are doing it.
Yeah. How are you helping guys understand all the differences between the next level that they're trying to get to, which is college basketball, and the NBA?
Well, the one of the things is pace. I always tell everyone, if you can hear this, like high schools play like prep school, college, NBA. So teaching those kids that you have to play at an unbelievable pace and still be able to think. That's 2 of the hardest things to do, to play extremely hard and be able to think at the same time. And so what we do a lot of multiple thing training, where they go from one thing to the next thing to the next thing, so they understand that you have to be able to play hard and think. And most kids don't know how to empty the bucket, and that's the thing we talk about all the time, empty your bucket. And so you have to take them to a place where they think they can't make it, and show them every time you empty your bucket gets deeper, and every time we empty our bucket as a team, our overall bucket gets deeper. And so those are the things at the highest level. It's going to be talent, but there's only about 2% of the guys who are going to be superstars. You have to learn how to be a star in your role. And us as coaches, we have to foresee when you have talent. Yes, you can't get enamored by that talent. You have to be able to look out and say, okay, if this kid makes it to the NBA, more than likely he's going to be a role player. And what is that thing that he does best? I call it a trick. We had C.J. Wilcox at Washington. I always thought, and even when he redshirted as a freshman, that if C.J. gets stronger and sticks with it, he's going to play in the NBA because he has a trick. He can make shots, period. At 6'5", he could make shots. And every guy in the league, you watch him, he has a trick. What's Rondo's trick? He's going to guard his pants off. He's going to know everything about the guy he's going against because he's a savant that way. What LeBron's trick? He has a whole bunch of them. But his trick is he can get a bunch of guys to play together because he's going to play together. He's not a superstar who's going to walk and do his own thing. And so you really, as a coach, and when you're coaching your team, whatever level it is, figure out what every guy's trick is and put him in position to accentuate that trick when you play.
Mm-hmm. I guess like when I think about the differences, and obviously everything that you're talking about is right. The difference for me would be I don't know if there's much difference because obviously the ball moves. But in college, when we're running sets, we're focused on having 2, 3, 4 ball reversals, using shot clock, and we're in some ball screen stuff. But you have to understand read and react. You have to understand basketball in general, conceptual. And then when you watch the NBA, they're still running stuff, but it's like bad shot, bad shot, bad shot. It seems like bad shot, but they're just so skilled that that's their good shot.
Right. Well, it's like Duncan Robinson. If you read an article a few weeks ago, if he doesn't shoot it, they're mad at him, even if it's a difficult shot sometimes, because that's what he's getting paid to do, is shoot the ball. To me, the biggest thing is, my daughter, she's playing on our 4th grade team, right? And my whole thing was when I would go to their practices, I was always dad, not coach.
Right.
I clap and cheer to the point where I clap and cheer for all the other kids. And she would say, how come, when are you going to cheer for me? You only get on me, right? And so, but one day her coach kept trying to run plays with 4th graders. And he says to me, Coach, what do you think about that play I run? And I said to myself, okay. I said, do you want me to answer as a dad or a coach? He said, answer as a coach. I said, well, 2 things. Every time you run that play, they turn it over. Second thing is, anyone, to me, if you're running plays 6th grade below, you're doing that for you as the coach. You're not doing that for the kids. Our job is to teach them concepts, how to play, understand spacing. Even yesterday, I'm yelling at a couple of our guys. We run our 5-on-0, and at the end of the play, they throw a chest pass into the post or a chest pass at the elbow. I'm like, where's your man going to be? There's going to be a man guarding you. So you're not throwing it through him, right? And there's going to be a defender on him. So the ball is either going to be up or down. So the whole thing is you got to teach guys to, have creativity, to understand where is the defense going to be, not what we're running. Where is the defense going to be? And then learn what to do when the defense takes it away this way or they take it away that way. But they can't take everything away. So your job, once you teach kids concepts and how to play, then that's when they get an understanding of when you go to the next level, because you're going to learn 1,000 plays, but they're all the same, basically, right? Because they're all concepts. And so to me, the way that coaches, to me, myself, I'm teaching concepts. Like we're going to get you in a set just to get to a concept.
How many, so you're trying to play conceptually where there's less, there's structure, but there's less sets, less actions being called. If you had to guess, how many sets are you going to have with your prep guy?
I still think it's a fair amount, but what it is what I recruited was a lot of players who are similar, whether they're 6'10" or 5'10". In the system we're running, we can move guys all over the court. And so we're using the look, what it looks like to manipulate what we're trying to get, if that makes sense. All of a sudden, you're running 2-cutter and your 6'10" guys up high in the 2-cutter for like 4 or 5 times. Then all of a sudden he's standing down in the corner and you got 2 guards in it. The guy who's guarding him has never guarded that. What is he going to do? But when that guy understands concepts and they have the skill level to do what you're trying to manipulate. So I use sets like, we're running something, but at the end of the deal, it's like the NBA. They're just running the set to get the ball to who they wanted to get it to, where they wanted to get it, and to see if your guy can guard them one-on-one. And that's the part we go back about the NBA. When I look at guys and NBA teams call me about college guys, what I think about them, one of the number one things that they want to know is, can that guy guard his position? If you can't guard your position, don't think about the NBA. You're not going to go. You have to be able to guard your position. So everyone wants to be a 6'9" wing, right, on offense. It's not football. You just don't play offense. Can you guard that wing on the other side? That 6'5" monster with an unbelievable first step, who's a dog, who's going to come at you. Can you guard him? So that's where I challenge our guys mainly. Like, It's on that other side of the court. Can you guard your position? Can you guard every position?
Yeah, I had an NBA guy call me about Mie Oni, who's playing for the Jazz now, and he said that when he's scouting, that he's looking for what Mie does in the last 5 seconds of the shot clock.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Does he catch and shoot? Does he put it on the floor and get to the basket? Does he put it on the floor and make an extra pass, draw the defender first?
And that same scout called me. I think we talked about it. And the thing was, the big thing you want to know, does he know how to play at the end of the shot clock? And that's what kids have to understand. Like talent, I mean, obviously everyone wants talent. You know, the more talent, the better coach you look like, right? But at the end of the day, if the talent doesn't know how to play, the talent doesn't get to stay. That's what I tell the guys with the NBA talent. I don't care how talented, there's a lot of talented guys walking around who are not in the NBA.
Correct.
But then when you get talented guys who are tough and gritty, who will guard and know how to play, all of a sudden they're playing for 10, 15. One of the things I can't stand to hear when you hear kids talk, they're talking about an NBA player who's been there 13, 14 years. Oh, he sucks. He doesn't play. He's been sucking for about 14 years. He's in the NBA. Yeah, they don't understand it. Because there's only 450 of those jobs.
And then what happens is with that specific player that you're speaking about, that they're fundamentally sound, they're athletic, they decision make the right way, they can make an open shot, and then as their career progresses, they're able to do a little bit more and a little bit more, a little bit more, and then you become this. You're able to show your skill, but until then, let's do the small things extremely well and defend.
Yeah, for example, when I was in Washington, I think we'll talk about that a little bit. When I was in Washington, we had a player named Justin Holiday. And everyone thought Lorenzo and the staff recruited Justin Holiday to get his brother Drew.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it'd be great to get Drew, but we always thought that Justin could really, really play. And when he was at Washington, he was like a Swiss Army knife. If we needed him to guard a point guard, he guarded the point guard. I remember we played USC and they had Vucevic. And Justin was all over 180 pounds, 6'7", and he guarded the mess out of Vucevic, you know? And we just felt like, man, if he sticks with it till he's about 24, 25, he'll play in the NBA. Look at him, you know, because he was willing to do that thing that we needed him to do. And it just happened to be what his niche is. And now he's in the NBA. He's known as a shooter now, right? When he got to Washington, he wasn't a shooter.
You get time to develop. You buy yourself time.
Yep, you buy yourself time.
How important is it for players to have their coaches trust them? Like, how important is it to be trustworthy as a basketball player?
It is. When you're trustworthy as a basketball player and you're good on top of it, you can't keep you off the court. Because at the end of the day, a coach has to close his eye and know that no matter what, this kid's going to do what's best for the team. He's going to do the right thing. And when they're trustworthy, it sticks out. They're in the gym getting extra shots, right? They're helping other guys get better. They are where they're supposed to be, when they're supposed to be there, doing what they're supposed to do. And when you have that, you have someone you can rely on. And trust is huge. And my thing with players is we just can't trust you in the court. You can't agree with what the coaches are saying in the court. And then we walk past the locker room, you're down there being a locker room lawyer, you know, where you're everybody's lawyer and I don't know why coach don't play you, they tripping, blah, blah, blah. No, we got to trust you across the board. And so to have a player who's trustworthy, you just add yourself another coach to the staff, but he's out on the court.
And coaches are in coaching in meetings trying to find ways to get the person who's trustworthy, who's not skilled, on the court.
Absolutely. This is kids don't understand, right? Especially at the college level. Coaches go in meetings and go to war for you, especially if you're the guy doing the right things, and maybe you're not as talented as some of the other guys, but the coaches, assistant coaches, I mean, we take some from the head coaches, right? Because we know what the guys are up to, and we go to war for you. So I think that if there are any kids watching, do the right things, be trustworthy. And I'm telling you, there's going to be a coach in the background fighting for you. You guys who are fringe NBA players, fringe second round players, when you're trustworthy, this is the thing that one of my best friends in the whole world is Adrian Brandt. He plays All-American at Maryland, played in the NBA, is that teams want guys they don't have to worry about the other 22 hours of the day when you're not with them, because you're trustworthy.
Mm-hmm. Period.
Period.
Period. Um, let's bring South Kent to a close a little bit. I do want to congratulate you on the again opportunity, and I think the most one of the most important things for the young kids who do go to prep schools is having a coach who understands levels, who understands the importance of relationships, and has the ability to develop those players as if they were college players for the time that they're at said school. And I know that you're going to do a great job with
Thank
that.
you.
I can only imagine what the future looks like for South Kent because, come on, I'm already knowing. I'm already knowing. So I'm looking forward to the product too. I'm ready
Thank
to
you.
play.
Well, my whole thing is I tell the guys when they're being recruited and their families are calling them, is that I don't train you like you're going to be in prep school or high school. I train every kid that stands in front of me like they're going to be a pro, and I'm going to hold them accountable to the same thing I would do as a pro. And at the very least, they're going to walk away with a toolbox of things that help them for the rest of their life. Like, for example, that same person I told you is on our board of trustees, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, man, how many guys you going to take? I said, I don't know, man. I can't have like 16 guys like I had when you were here because I want those last 3 or 4 guys to get the same experience, a great experience, the other guys. He stopped me in my tracks. He said, Coach, what are you talking about? He said, our first practice, I'm out there with those guys. I look up, and here comes Jim Boeheim in the gym. And here comes Calhoun. And he said, I would have never saw those guys if I wasn't on that team. He said, then secondarily, he said, all the stuff that you put us through and how hard you worked us, that's why I've been a very, very successful businessman. Because all that stuff about being on time, being early, working hard, doing the right things when no one else is looking, all that stuff carries over into life. And so to me, the long story short is that at the very least, I can close my eyes and say, I know these guys are gonna play really hard. If they can play really hard and share the ball and play together, we'll have a chance. I don't know if we can beat, I don't know who we can beat, right? But I
Mm-hmm.
know we're gonna give ourselves a chance. And that's all I want the guys to do is give yourself a chance. We say it all the time here. Don't cut yourself. Because what guys don't understand, especially at the highest level, when scouts come to watch, they're not coming to add people to the list. They're coming to see who they can cut off the list. And it's the same thing as college coaches. We're coming to see who can we cut off the list as quickly as possible to get down to that 6 or 7 guys we're trying to get,
Mm-hmm.
right? And the same thing when they come to the gym, be a guy that maybe you weren't on that list and you cause them to cross someone else off, or even on our team on the list because you're the guy doing the right things that they want to see in their program.
Mm-hmm. Um, Coach, what are the first couple things that come to mind when you think about some lessons that you learned at the college basketball level?
Uh, some lessons I learned was that, and it works at every level. There's no substitute for hard work. Whether you're a coach or a player, or even if someone offers you a job like that's not paying you any money right away, right? Um, but if you work hard, something good's gonna happen for you. Maybe not where you are. Maybe it's for the next place you're gonna be, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a great lesson. I think great lesson is just to go out of your way to be a great teammate, and not just within your basketball program. You're in the athletic department, So to me, when other teams are playing, you have an opportunity to go watch and support other people. Go do that, because it makes you a better coach. I remember again when I was at Washington, Jim McLaughlin was there at the time, one of the best volleyball coaches in the country. I believe he's at Notre Dame now. And I would go watch them practice because he was an unbelievable coach. Coaching is coaching. And I learned so much of just how to be a better coach from watching a coach outside of my sport. Um, so I learned that be a good teammate, be a good supporter. And one of the other things is at some point, it's not if, it's when. You're gonna get let go. In college basketball, college sports, your staff is gonna get let go somewhere. And you can't take that as a personal hit to your personal self-esteem. It's a part of the business. It's what do you do when you get knocked down? Are you gonna do what you tell your kids when they fail? You're gonna get back up, or you're gonna mope and complain. You just get up and you keep moving. So those are some good, I say, those good life lessons right there.
Do you have any? reservations, and I'm going to try to word this correctly so you understand what I'm trying to ask. But so from my point of view, when I look at your coaching career, you started somewhere before South Kent, sorry,
Was Nottingham, yeah.
correct, and then you go to Washington for a couple of years, and then you go to Nova. Well, before I even get there, what was the happening that you were able to get that job at Nova? And then did you think you would be there longer, or did you not even think about that?
Yeah, well, the happening was, we were having some serious success at Washington, first of all. And again, I'm a DMV guy, and Coach Wright likes to recruit the DMV
Mm-hmm.
very strong. So at that point, he had a position open, and I think he wanted to have a DMV guy. And, Villanova, the saying is once a Wildcat, always a Wildcat. And my college coach played at Villanova. And so the Villanova family is really tight. And so I was fortunate enough, I knew Jay, and Jay helped me come to Villanova. I thought I'd be there for a long time, but we had success again that year. I was at Villanova, and Lorenzo and I are very close, and he had some positions open on the staff, and I was talking to him about it, and he asked me to come back, so I went back. So
As the
that's how that worked. Was that
did you went back as
as
the
an associate coach? Yeah, yeah.
and
And
then you,
so so the journey. I think I know you're going with the journey. The journey is what it is, right? And to me, coaching is coaching, no matter what level. And I think when you find yourself waking up 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning to get up and write a play, get it out of your head, you're coaching. You're a coach, And the great thing for me being back here is that I think I get to spend so much more time with the guys than you do at college, because of the rules and restrictions on how much we can be with them, whether it's in the gym, off the court, whatever. I get to spend so much more time with the guys that I think, you talk about trust, right? The kids being trustworthy, that they trust you because they get to know you and actually see that you actually care
Mhm.
about what's going on with them. And that to me is it's invaluable. And that's been one of the great things about being back is just seeing guys and our guys being since August 24th develop so much more just as people in a short amount of time because you have a great deal of time to spend with them.
Do you feel that you weren't given because every coach's goal is to be a head coach at a certain level. Do you think that you were given the correct opportunities to possibly get a head coaching job, or do you feel like um, for whatever reason that the opportunity didn't present itself and you probably think that it should have?
No, not at all. I had a lot of opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just not one of those guys who goes on Twitter and has someone say Raphael Chillious for this job, for that job, for that job. There've
Yeah.
been quite a few jobs I was involved with, and I definitely turned 2 Division I jobs down.
Mm-hmm.
And one I had the night before, the next morning things wake up and you don't have it. So I did have some opportunities. I mean, I felt that I've done enough to maybe get some more than I probably had offers, but I can't say that I didn't have any opportunities.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as you know, the way the college game has worked for a lot of people who look like us is that it's interesting to me, like when we were on the series winning streaks at Washington, we won three. At first it was the Pac 12, right? We won three championships in a row. um, and so when you're winning, you're a really good coach. All of a sudden, when you have some down years, all of a sudden you can't coach anymore. Maybe you just had other teams had better players. Maybe you just didn't win. But so that's I think that happens. Sometimes we don't get the benefit of doubt, in my opinion, that when you have some down years, that all of a sudden that coach can't coach anymore. No, you can coach. You have down years. Eventually, unless you're the blue bloods, you're gonna have some years where it's gonna be lean for you. So those are some times where I felt disappointment because there were definitely, the search firm. When the search firm guy said to me, "Yeah, I can't wait till you win again because you can get it." Well, I'm still the same guy. I'm still the same guy. I still coach the same way, winning or losing. You know.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to do a rapid fire with
hmm
players that you've coached in the past, and I just want you to give The first thing that comes to mind about said player.
Okay.
All right, and it's kind of I believe it's kind of in order. Jacqueline Clinton.
Unbelievable work ethic. Like to this day, I've not Isaiah got to that point, but from when he was here at this building, at this school, I've never had a player work as hard as him ever.
Darrell Wright.
Once in a lifetime talent. At his height, at 6'8.5", 6'9", he could do it all, and he made it look easy. I don't know if you remember Sleepy Floyd that played back in the day at Georgetown and played for the Rockets. He had kind of a Sleepy Floyd game. I just remember one time we played someone, and I thought he played decent. And the coach asked me, goes, how many points do you think Wright had? I said, 20, 21. And he showed me the book. It was 51. It was a quiet 51. So just unbelievable talent.
Andre Blatch.
Just a rare species. 7-foot point guard is what he was. 7-foot point guard. I mean, I remember us playing out in St. Louis in front of 10,000 people. I think it was against Gerald Green, or it was Gerald Green's team, I think. And we went to triple overtime. And Andre played point guard all 3 overtimes at 7 foot. Because I knew, again, as a player, he was going to make all the right plays. All the right plays.
Isaiah Thomas.
Something special. I mean, all those guys are special in their own right, but he's the most dynamic competitor that you're ever going to see. Whatever it is you need him to do. Now, when he first got here, he didn't play defense, And then I was so proud of him when I was on the staff at Washington. We're playing Marquette to go to the Sweet 16. And Darius Johnson Odom was giving us the business. And Isaiah came in timeout and said, let me get that MFer. And we like looking at each other on the staff say, okay. And he went out there and locked him up. So just the ultimate competitor.
He was the type of guy on your team where you had to respect his want to do that. Some dudes might do that. You're like, no, you stay on who you got.
Yeah.
Okay, I got you. Deion Waiters.
Same level of confidence. When he was here, he was a sophomore. And I had Isaiah Thomas, Mo Creek, Mark Lyons, and Deion. Deion came off the bench as a sophomore. He thought he was the best player. He'd tell me he's the best player. And sometimes he went out there and he's the best player. Extreme confidence.
NBA champion now.
Yeah, absolutely. We talked about it on our IG group the other night.
It's tough. 2 more. DeJounte Murray.
DeJounte Murray. In a good way. A dog. I mean, we got him in Washington. I mean, he's 6'5", 150 pounds probably. He worked his butt off. Hands like Dr. J. Huge hands. But he was like, he's from the hood in Seattle, and he had no back down on him. And I remember we were losing by 20 to USC, like 8 minutes left in the game. And he said, let me pick up McLaughlin full court. And totally changed the game. We beat USC. Just an absolute dog in a great way.
Among other things, what stands out to me from a physical standpoint about him is his broad shoulders. Like you can tell he's still going to grow into something that's big in stature, even at his position.
Well, he's the prototypical outside Isaiah Thomas. If you watch all the guys we had at Washington, they're in that 6'5", 6'7" pocket, but they had 6'11" wingspan, gigantic hands. Because the theory is not how high you can jump, it's how high you can reach when you jump.
Last one, Terrence Ross.
Unicorn. He was an absolute unicorn freak show. I mean, I just remember us playing in the preseason NIT in the Garden. We're playing Duke. And we throw him a lob. He does a 360 lob in a game like it's an NBA dunk contest. Like nothing. All of us are like, players you can see on the other team, like, what was that? We played Carolina in Carolina to go to I think if we had beaten, we would have been to the Sweet 16. And we said, hey, they got Harrison Barnes, blah, blah. And he was like, I don't know who that is. And he went out there and was like, he was the best player on the court. And he was just a freak show. Like everyone sees the 3-point shooting now. Remember, he won the NBA dunk contest twice.
Well, anybody who thinks to do those type of things in the game, you gotta be unicorn, or you just not thinking straight, because
Yeah,
you're either gonna make it or you're gonna come sit next to coach.
yeah,
To have enough confidence to do it, you already know.
absolutely.
Mm-hmm. Coach, I got a few more for you. What are your greatest moments as a coach? Some things instances that stand out that just give you a lot of joy.
Seeing my guys graduate, whether it's from here, college, just see them graduate. Now that I'm approaching that big 5-0, is seeing the guys have families and kids and be good fathers. Um, I would say um, we talk about him a lot, but Isaiah Thomas, him graduating on time. People don't remember he left Washington as a junior,
Mm-hmm.
and one of the conversations he had with us when he's going to leave, we were like, "But you got to graduate. When you going to graduate?" And every player says, "Oh, I'll come back and get it." There's a lot of players who've said that, and he goes, "No, I'm going to graduate on time with my class." And he set it up and did online classes while he was in the NBA and graduated with his class. That was a very proud moment because when he got here, he wasn't a bad student, but he wasn't a serious student. In order to do that, you had to mature into a serious student to do that.
Mm-hmm. Were you guys, and obviously you were asking because you cared about him, were you guys asking him that to you need to graduate because you wanted him to stay one more year, or because
Not at all. Our philosophy and Lorenzo's philosophy, we
go?
never hold a guy back. What we did was provide them all the information that we would gather from teams and still let them make the decision. Because you, as a coach, and I hope there's other college coaches listen, you can't win in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
If you push someone to go and they don't make it, it's your fault. If you tell them to stay and then something happens to them, they get hurt, it's your fault. So
Mm-hmm.
you have to give everyone the best information that they can have in front of them that you can present to them, and then let them make the decision. You know, now would we love to see him come back? Heck yeah, but there was never when I worked for Lorenzo and we had so many guys go early. There was never a conversation he had with someone where I sat in that room and felt like he was trying to convince them to stay.